Okay, call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Ballack? Here. And Mr. Bass is absent today. We got three pieces to go over. First one we'll go over is from Mr. Ballack. And it is an ordinance adopting the rules and regulations governing the rental and use of Struthers Multipurpose Center and made part of Struthers Codified Chapter 959 Mothy Park Section 959.01 Struthers Municipal Purpose Center and repealing ordinance number 21-052 and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. Mr. Ballack, do you want to speak on this before we?
Yeah, Bob up at the Mothy is, I don't know what the best way of putting it, but feels that there's just too much damage that's getting done when people are taping things, adhering things to the walls and whatnot, and the repairs that are involved with it. So he wants to change it from the wording from to include not adhering things to the walls in any way whatsoever. You know, basically, so he doesn't have to worry about the, you know, the upkeep, the maintenance. You know, touching things up, the paint never matches, it looks bad. So, I mean, that's basically the only change that's looking to be made as far as this ordinance is concerned.
Which it is that way at a lot of places. You can't alter the wall in any way as far as putting a nail hole in it or anything like that. A lot of halls are like that.
Yeah.
If I could add to, I have had a few phone calls and I remember discussing this with them. And this is not my feelings by any way, but we did have people say, well, it's a hall. They want to be able to hang things up. If there's certain materials they can use, Bob Benson's actually looking into if there's a certain type of paint or a certain type of coating that we can put over it to be able to use certain adhesives. I'm just bringing it to your attention.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
In
guys to discuss.
my opinion, my thought would be, what if you did strategically place around the room a set of hooks that literally press in that you could hang stuff on that would be as simple as taking them up and taking them down without any damage to the wall. Then people could, if it's a birthday party, hang a happy birthday sign without damaging it all.
Or the drop ceiling.
What kind of paint are they using? Is it like flat paint? Because if you use semi-gloss or like an eggshell, that's pretty durable stuff.
Usually.
Yeah, as far as using,
Eggshells,
you know,
yeah,
like
really good.
Using the tacky stuff. You know?
Right.
But then the next thing would be, it would probably be hard to monitor, but if you're using anything but Scotch tape, a lot of times it is going to peel.
Yeah.
Scotch tape won't, but if you're using...
Yeah, but that the tacky,
Yeah.
like the gummy stuff, like the Play-Doh that you can put on.
Oh yeah, putty.
That, I mean, I don't see a problem with that. Because you're right, it is a hall, and people want to decorate it for their parties.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know.
A lot of halls will tell you you can't puncture the wall or alter it in
And
any
I
way.
think we already have that.
Manuscripts.
I think we already have that in there.
Well, I think we put that was one of the reasons we wanted to hold the credit card information too, because if there were any damages that we couldn't
Yeah.
do. But even with that, and you cover up the paint, like Bob said, sometimes it doesn't match.
Sure,
It looks
yeah.
unsightly, and he's very particular about the park and keeps it in such great shape. But I don't know if there's any other alternative. But I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I'd like us
This
to
brought my
try to find a
attention.
way around
Maybe we
just
should
denouncing it
offer-
altogether.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could they supply, could Mothy supply what they could use?
Like added into their fee.
Yeah.
Or
you
like
have to
say,
use
you
this
know,
and
if
Yeah.
this is what you want, we have it here for this $10 fee.
Yeah, that's what I
That you
think.
could use this and this alone, you know, and then that way there they
That
can
was a
have.
thought, I think.
yeah, I don't
You know,
think that's a bad
whatever
idea.
type of adhesive, and yeah, I think it would depend on the type of paint that is on the walls.
Sure.
You know, because if you do have an eggshell or a semi-gloss, then you know,
It's,
then something will
It's-
peel off
it's
much
pretty durable,
more
yeah.
easily.
And we could leave that up to Bob on what type of adhesive thing that they could use. You know,
But
and
putty
then-
might not
and
be
then-
bad.
And then offer it to them. Well, you know, you can't do it, but we offer this if you want to hang stuff.
sure.
Okay.
For,
Sure.
I think they're better off going with them up in the ceiling.
The hooks. Well, the
That's what
hook,
we talked about too.
the
For the
hooks-
drop ceiling. We
yeah.
just
Yeah.
hang
Mhm.
things.
and the hooks
Yeah.
don't have to just be there. I mean, I'm not saying like ones that look. I mean, you could get ones that are minute. They're this
Yeah.
big. You're only hanging in most things, a string on
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
And
Or
if they're
Yeah.
white, wouldn't they
something
blend
like
in?
that,
Yeah.
or you
I
could
mean,
you
never
could
do
paint them the
that.
color of the wall even to really get them to blend in if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So, I think there's probably a happy medium here.
Sure.
So I would say table this or not bring it out right now and
Okay. All right. I'll give Bob a call and
Come to it.
you know,
So we
talk,
can
you
go
know,
with
see what if there's some other alternative that he would find to be
Yeah, I
you know,
think that
suitable.
would be good too, if they
Yeah.
could put something permanently on the walls that are there all the time.
well, especially too, we did up the price, I believe, of the rentals too. So we want to accommodate people. We don't want you to get something for your money. You know what I mean? We don't want to deter anyone from renting it. That's for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Good with this? All right, next one. An ordinance adopting the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Struthers and the Ohio Patrolmen's Association, herewith OPBA, effective January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Ballack? This is standard. This is a collective
Right.
bargaining agreement. We don't have much over it. So I just
Right.
need a motion to bring it out.
Make a motion to bring it out.
A second. All right, our last one is for,
If you wanna talk about, cause I'm not gonna be at the meeting next week. I don't know
Okay.
if you want me to talk about the changes that were in the contract,
sure,
is that okay?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just, I'm not gonna be here on Wednesday, so if there's any questions, Bob will be able to answer them. We went through, obviously through Chrissy and through Clemens Nelson, for the dispatcher's contract, and there's a couple of things that did change. I have the contract here, it's, I don't print 8 copies, but it'll be attached to everything for next week. But there were a couple changes on here, and we went back and forth, we had a couple meetings, and again, everything was okay with Clemens Nelson and also with Chrissy. So one of the changes, we agreed to add a new section to the article that pertained to special campaigns. So if we did something like a traffic enforcement or sobriety check, that we would bring an extra dispatcher on to handle that, so it's not too overwhelming for one dispatcher to handle, so they can focus on 911 calls and whatnot. The shift bidding, we deleted a couple paragraphs in there to create a straightforward bidding procedure. Article 18, salaries and wages, we were able to go with 333 across the board, so we were very excited about that. We have, I believe, 4 dispatchers down there who do a tremendous job. Right now, we're blessed with people who don't call off, who don't abuse any of their work privileges, who do a fantastic job, and who, quite frankly, we've needed more than a lot of the employees here in the city because of the things that they've been handling in 911, and there's just so much more pressure that they have added on to them with a lot of the extreme circumstances that they're dealt with. Another thing we did was they are allowed to accrue AT time while training others. We did agree to add Juneteenth to their list of paid holidays. Right now, they're the only union that is going to have this. We're not opening up any of the other contracts right now to add that. So when the contracts are open, that's something we're gonna negotiate with the other unions. And we did increase the number of personal days from 2 to 3. And there's a couple of changes, and it's not on here, that we're gonna talk about the COVID sick time, but that's coming down the road. I just got that link too. So nothing really, not a lot of big changes. But again, when everything went through Clemens Nelson and got okay through Chrissy as well.
Well,
We're very happy with
there's not a lot of input or anything we have on this as collective bargaining, correct? So there's
Yeah.
nothing that we can change or that, you know what I mean?
I know, but I still like to make you aware of the changes that we have in there.
Sure.
A lot of that's all seniority, right, too, during some of that stuff?
No, they don't have a lot of seniority in their contract.
Oh, they don't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
No, I think there's a couple clauses in the, I don't remember the articles offhand. Longevity and things like that it speaks
Yeah.
to, but,
I was thinking bidding things, you know.
oh, yeah,
Shift.
shift bidding.
Shifting out.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's seniority?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the auditor to request and receive the advanced distribution for all real property tax collections from the Mahoning County Auditor for the calendar year of 2022 and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it up? Jimmy?
Make a motion to bring it up.
And I second. That's it for legislation. Does anybody have anything else for finance? Anybody? Anything good? Alright, make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to call this Parks and Recreation meeting to order. Ms. Greenwood?
Here.
Mr. Bigley?
Here.
All right. Let's see. I think one thing that was on the agenda had to do with ropes for sled riding at the parks.
That's it.
So, I mean, what do you?
My thoughts are 5th Street, we get a lot of traffic there, sled riding. I've personally seen that. Spoke with the mayor. She said they also get a lot at Mickler Park.
Mm-hmm.
My thought was, we go through 5th Street. I identify, from what I've seen, that there's only about 5 hills that people generally use. But the difficulty with the kids was trying to get back up the hill.
Right.
So we put a 4x4 post at the bottom, we put a 4x4 post at the top, tie a rope to each with knots in it. Same way they would do, I mean, Rocky Ridge has it, a lot of places have that. Just something to help you get back up the hill. Do it at Mickler. I know the mayor said at Mickler we'll have to come up with something creative that can be taken down. Because I guess at Mickler it would be more in the way with football, correct?
Yeah, but even if it's something for both locations that we can just put up for the winter and take down just for safety purposes.
The only thing with that, with the 4x4s wouldn't work at that point. We would have to think of a different system. But I'm sure they do make something that is anchored and pinned, and you pull the pin and pull it up. So I can.
OJ is willing to do whatever you want. To say.
Yes, and I will start looking into. If you don't want to use 4x4s, the only reason I thought 4x4s at 5th Street is because we really don't do anything else there in the summer. They wouldn't hinder anything, and they're back on the hills. That's probably going to be our cheapest route and still do what we want to do. It's still going to blend in. It won't look bad.
What about those anchors that they have that you can put in the ground? They're like metal that high for the 4x4s and they got like a post.
You could do that.
And you can dig them deeper into the ground.
You can do that.
And you can just cover them in.
I don't
cap them off or whatever.
Yeah, you would then probably just unscrew the 4x4 from the anchoring system, you're saying?
Would you even have to screw it in?
Probably.
You think?
Yeah, probably. But I'm sure we can figure something out if that's possible. But like I said, 5th Street, when you're back there, there's nothing really, except for sled riding, I don't think anybody can use those hills for anything. It's not like they do anything else with them that they would cause some type of hindrance, you know what I mean?
And then in Nebo, the park up there, what they use, little wildcats and that use, there's a hill, slight hill down there that they could use for sled riding.
Do people use that though for sled riding? The only reason I'm asking is
I just put it out there so we'll have Nebo covered too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at 5th Street, there was.
A lot of people don't think they're allowed to play there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they
Nebo,
are,
is
because
that
it is a park.
where you'd have to use? Because the
No,
hills
you
these
wouldn't
are
have
steep.
the hill is
Little,
slight. There's
okay.
a slight hill.
Yeah.
Up there by where the building's at.
Yeah. So you might
You know.
not need like a.
As much to get up.
Yeah. If it is it in the back?
Yeah, it's towards the back. There's like a.
Yeah, where the
hill
building
right
is.
I saw some kids there, yeah.
Yeah.
But, if we want to try to identify some other places, that's fine. This was something I noticed, thought it would, something we could do to kind of better it
Well,
and fight.
I'm sure if we announced that we had those there, they would be used.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would too.
And
And
it would be a designated sled riding.
you want me to do a little due diligence on this as far as trying to find a system to take up and take down, at least for Mickler. And 5th Street Park, we can kind of determine what we need to do. Is that all right?
Yeah. And afterwards, whatever you find, if you could, I don't want to say run it by Gary Wantovich because he's probably going to be the one that's
Okay.
going to just let him know.
Sure.
Because he
Sure.
So if he's gonna be the one installing or.
You're saying take it up,
yeah.
take it down. Yeah,
Just give him
no
a heads
problem.
up so he's aware.
We'll go over that, and I'll bring it back to council, whatever I find.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what about using trees as opposed to
You-
putting something in?
You could, I don't know if
There would be a line of trees that would,
or it damage the trees in a way that, but you know, if you're tying something around them or anchoring to them, I don't know. In a park, I don't know if that's something we normally do or we don't.
I don't know.
But yeah, there's the reason that made me think of it too is there was one hill in particular where kids had basically a dog leash and a book bag strap and about 6 other things, garden hose, that they were tied to a tree and were getting themselves back up there too. And I just thought that's something that we could kind of come up with that wouldn't cost a lot, be a little bit more inviting for kids to go, and
Sure.
you know.
And I
Small
think you do some
project.
kind of big press release when it's up.
Well, I mean,
But to get the word out there.
yeah,
and
yeah.
post it on our
I would,
page,
yeah, because it was enjoyable for me seeing all these kids having a good time. It reminded me that 20 years ago I was doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we want, right? We want community engagement. So
Absolutely. They had park attendants 20 years ago.
yeah,
Used to play ringers and do all kinds of
right.
stuff.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'll look into that, or I'll bring all my findings back to council. I'll have you call another meeting and we can go over it.
okay.
If anybody has any thoughts, there's something they want me to look into, just give me a call. Or, go ahead and reach out and in a few weeks, we'll come back to the table with it.
Mhm.
Because it's not anything we're gonna be able to do now, the ground's way too frozen for
But
anything.
even at the fishery, I think it would be maybe a thought to get the Eagle Scout involved. Maybe
Sure.
having like a step going up.
That'd be great.
Just logs
Yeah.
going up where the kids could step on it and help
Yeah.
go up.
Yeah, that would be,
Still have the rope.
Yeah.
that would be great,
And that would be that would be their because they gotta do a
Yeah.
project to become Eagle
Right.
Yeah.
right? Sure, sure. Good with me. Back to you,
Okay.
Jimmy.
Back to
All
you,
right.
brother.
Just maybe kind of an FYI for when our budget comes out. Bob wanted me to make everybody aware that there may be an increase in the budget for the flooding that took place at the, that would be, something to just keep in mind.
When we had that flooding, obviously that's covered by our insurance.
It is. What we weren't really thinking about was the $5,000 deductible, and then there was another $1,200, I think, somewhere for that. So yes, we got it all taken care of, but there's still things at the park that need to be taken care of this year. I feel like we've put it off the last couple of years, and we're at a point where it has to. And even though we got the flooring and everything fixed through the insurance, there's still that $5,000, and that's a big hit for that budget. So
Mhm.
we were talking just to make you aware that may be.
When moving forward, is there anything we could possibly do to deter the flooding there?
That was a freak.
No doubt. The time that it did happen. Now, it doesn't happen any other times. It was just this one time.
Yeah,
First
the
time
water
I can
tank.
remember it ever
Okay.
happened.
It was
on
a water
there.
tank. that
Yeah.
was-
So then it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under
Yeah,
that
I think-
circumstances.
Unless the water tank blows up again.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
But when they constructed it, there was supposed to be some type of drain nearby, and I think they ended up finding it, but there was no way for the water
To get to.
Yeah, so I think they've corrected that too. So if there is a situation again, it should heal itself.
All right. Does anybody have anything else for this committee?
Just
Yes,
the
yeah.
dates. I don't know if you brought it with you,
Yeah.
but the
Oh,
dates
no, I
for
did
the
not.
music.
No, I didn't.
I can. So we had a meeting to go over the dates. We have the music or the movies, and I could put it on the mayor's report too, just so we have a heads up.
Okay.
And I could write this down if you guys want to write it down. The movie nights are going to be June 3rd, July 15th, and August 5th. And then the music, we wanted to schedule everything ahead of time this year because last year felt like we were just trying to find an empty date. But this year we have the dates and the backups. And Jim's working on getting a couple of the bands. One of the things with budget coming up, we talked about it last year, was having the city sponsor both music and movies. this year. So we're only gonna be doing 3 movies, so it would be, instead of the $350 we paid last year, it would be an extra $700 to add to that. It would take away from the messy signage and trying to find sponsors for each separate night. We'd be able to have the same signs for each of them, and it would all be just sponsored by the city. I think Christy was gonna try to work that into the budget, but we have the first night, and we are pretty sure we have vintage vinyl, will be June 16th, with the backup day, we said the 23rd, I don't have the backup days on here. But we put backup days this year.
Yes, we
just in
did,
case.
yeah.
And then July 28th, August 11th, missing one day. Oh, I'm sorry, July 14th, July 28th, and then August 11th. And we usually reserve that last one, August 11th, for Mr. Noble. And then there were a couple bands you were gonna try to get and talk to Ricky about too.
Yes.
You have to go through the union with that. Wasn't there a
No.
thing before in the past that they had to go through the union
Yeah.
for
Yes,
musicians?
through Yellow Creek, but Yellow Creek is doing their own thing. Last year they only gave us one date, and it was at Yellow Creek. Last year they went, or Mill Creek, I'm sorry, I keep saying Yellow Creek. It used to be they would schedule at Montney and schedule at Yellow Creek, and last year they gave us one date. So this is completely separate. This way we don't have to go through
Oh,
the
okay.
union.
That's good.
Because a lot of the older bands are still in the union, but it's something that a lot of them are kind of getting away from. So we'll get dates from Mill Creek. We don't know if we'll get one, a couple, but we're pretty sure they're just going to be utilizing Yellow Creek. So
Jim, it'd be great
I'll
if you
let
could
them
look
know.
into getting like Bob Seger or somebody like that.
Yeah, he was on my list of people to call.
Okay.
No, I think
It's
your
good.
brother, it would be great if your brother brought Bob
Yeah.
Seger down.
I've been saying that for years when they do Wild Live.
That would be
I've been
nice.
pitching for Bob Seger or for
Oh, God,
Aerosmith,
that
but
would
they keep going with country acts. I don't know. But music in the park, Bob Seger that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, that American Made band was good last year. So maybe, like, if they're on your list, they did it last year. Do you remember? Like
there was one I wasn't at.
well, you were at that one because we had that meeting at Monty, but my friend couldn't be there. He's the drummer.
Oh, that's right. They were all
But
sick. Is that the one where they were sick?
he was sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was sick, but everybody else, and they seemed to do a really nice job, and people liked them, and they enjoyed. They thought it was really nice coming to the city.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you need an extra one or.
All right.
They did do it last year.
We do need one more. I have one the John Reese Project. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them, but they do a good job.
And we're gonna try to do a better job advertising this year
Well,
too.
now that we know, because
Yeah.
somebody told me, my mom's neighbor, they were there that night, and they're like, you need to advertise this, this is awesome. They go, that's what they do, they go around and look, so I can ask her how she ends up getting most of her information, but she was like, it was so nice, and there was like, she goes, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
They go around and do all that
Yeah,
to those
and get
different
it to
places.
everybody.
Yeah, and she said, like, you need to advertise this a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll do a better job for sure this year. And I think when we have you guys have the papers, but the software program for the Discover Struthers, we can put events and things on there, and as soon as we upload something, it lets everybody know who signed up for that software. So we can put events
And
on
this
there,
is what we
on the
signed up
website.
for, like, just recently,
Yes, yep.
Okay, so I just did that today, so I was like,
Yeah, the lady called, we had 44 people sign up within the first 24 hours. And she said
Nice. that's a good.
that's good for big cities to have 44. So they were impressed with
Okay.
that.
As far as utilizing the sign downtown for
Yep.
advertising, I mean, we'll do that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, because we're ahead of it this year, I kind of felt like last year we were just kind of scrounging around trying to get it done quick.
Mm-hmm.
But this year we're ahead of it, we can plan a lot better. And going forward, I think we schedule everything early, so that way if it gets booked up with graduation parties and such, it'll be a lot easier. And having the backup days too, because the rain, luckily, we got pretty lucky last year, but
I think your movie nights were shut down.
one of them, yep, we lost one of them. And we lost the license because of the timing of it, we didn't have any other dates to reschedule. So,
Okay, anybody else have anything for this committee? Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
Make motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, meeting adjourned.